Welcome back. The Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors has proposed changes to legislation to ensure auditing professionals that act unethically get the punishment fit for their indiscretion. IRBA, as it's called, the CEO Bernard Agulhas says they've already written to National Treasury and Parliament to ensure that the necessary changes are made. He says while there are steps that can be taken against wrongdoers, these are at times not sufficient. IRBA CEO Agulhas earlier spoke to our reporter Glorious Sefako-Musi about the scandals that the industry is going through involving firms like KPMG and Nkonki that caused reputational damage to the industry.
The auditing profession is one that always had the highest integrity, and because of a few errant individuals, it has brought the profession into disrepute. But that doesn't mean that it applies to the entire profession, and it's therefore important that all stakeholders now work together to try and restore confidence in the profession. I believe that the all eyes are on the South African profession, and it's therefore important that we do everything we can to restore the confidence in the auditing profession.
What will the impact of all this be on business confidence?
Auditors play a very important role in creating confidence. In fact, auditors sell confidence. It's important that the public and investors and business rely on the audit opinions expressed by auditors. So if they don't have any faith in the credibility of those opinions, then it will certainly impact on confidence. So it's important that we as the regulator and the profession work together with business to ensure that we can restore that confidence, because business and investors take very important decisions based on an auditor's opinion, and it's important that they can rely on those opinions.
Are there enough controls to ensure ethical conduct amongst professionals?
Certainly, there are auditing standards, and in addition to the auditing standards, there is a code of ethics. We've adopted a global code, and there's also guidance from the IRBA as the regulator, so there is certainly enough guidance to auditors. It doesn't appear to us at this stage that there is a concern with the understanding of auditors of these standards and codes. It might be in the way that they apply it. It might also come back to the way that auditors behave. So if I can use an example of independence, there's certainly a long section in our code on auditors needing to be independent, but if auditors do not comply with those provisions, then we'll end up in the kinds of situations that we have in the last couple of months.
So who should be held accountable in these firms?
We believe that the senior partners and the CEOs of the audit firms need to take more responsibility and be held accountable for what happens in the firms. And for that reason, we are focusing our attention in our inspections in the next cycle on leadership responsibilities. But we'll also look at ownership of the organizations, because we've seen now where the issues are, ownership, the structures, and we will continue to hold the senior management of the organization accountable and make sure that they take responsibility for quality in their firm, for ethics in their firm, and to ensure that the staff also understand the importance of these matters in the organization as a whole. But it will have to start with leadership.
Do you think the problems that we are seeing now in the auditing industry, what led to the scandals that we're seeing, could have been prevented?
Yes, I do believe that, and you might recall that a couple of years back we started with the process of introducing mandatory audit firm rotation, and that was to address the independence issues that we saw, the relationships between clients and the auditors. We highlighted it, we raised it, and we introduced mandatory audit firm rotation against a lot of resistance from the firms. And clearly what is playing out now, I mentioned earlier, relates to behavior of auditors, and independence is a behavior. Auditors need to behave independently from their clients, act independently. And so we believe that we've highlighted these issues. We've also highlighted the problems with possible concentration in the market. And what has happened to Nkonki, for example, is a direct result of the fact that the work of the private sector is concentrated with the big four firms. Now, the firms will need to start, and business will need to start spreading that work. We have about 2,000 audit firms. There's a perception that there's only 4 firms. There's 2,000 firms and 4,500 auditors in South Africa. And it's important that the companies start spreading the work amongst these, so that when something like this happens, that we are prepared for it, that we can move the work to another audit firm, because there are others that can take on the responsibility. Again, we've cautioned against the lack of transformation and the fact that there's not sufficient mobility in the markets. So yes, it could have been prevented if I think everybody started to respond to the issues that were identified. The standards and the code of ethics also, I don't think there's any problem with those. It's a matter of application and a matter of the firms doing some introspection and seeing where these issues are and trying to address the issues so that it doesn't happen again.
Are there punitive measures that auditors that are found guilty of wrongdoing can face?
Well, we have in our legislation at the moment sanctions against auditors. So if those auditors that we're investigating are found guilty, there will be sanctions against them. But those sanctions, what this has also taught us is that those sanctions are not sufficient to prevent these behaviors from happening again. And it's for that reason that we have approached Parliament and National Treasury to amend our legislation so that we can have sanctions that are more in line with the types of offences that we are currently seeing.
Much.
Thank you.
What other sort of discussions have you been having with KPMG and Nkonki?
Yes, we have had continuous discussions with both firms, with their leadership, to find out what measures they are implementing, what they believe the causes were of the issues that they're facing. And it's important now that we monitor to see what they're doing and how they are doing it to ensure that they can turn around their organizations. Unfortunately, with Nkonki, they have decided to go into voluntary liquidation, at least the Sunny Hill office, and there's not much that we can do to intervene.
Take us through what the objectives are of this task team that you've sent to KPMG to review their turnaround strategy.
This process is a proactive process. It's unusual in the sense that it's not an inspection where we go in after the audit. It is something, it's a process where we'll be performing an independent review and assessment of KPMG's policies and procedures to turn around the organization. So it's very similar to a remedial action process that we follow with our inspections. When we do an inspection, we ask the firm to look at the root causes of the issues, but that would relate to audit quality only, and then put in place a remedial action plan. So we will really be monitoring the remedial action process. And KPMG has made public the areas that they'll be looking at, and also we've seen where the potential weaknesses are in the systems, and that relates to governance, to ethics, to policies and procedures, and also the lessons that they've learned. They have to now come up with processes, and we will look into what process they implement to address these issues.
What will it take for the South African auditing industry to regain credibility internationally?
Well, the IRBA certainly as a regulator has put together a strategy, and our board has discussed a strategy so that we can see where we can make some changes. The firms, I believe, have also seen what lessons can be learnt. And it's important that we do not ignore what we see now, but we have also asked for the firms, for example, to send us their strategies and what they are doing to ensure that we don't end up with more firms ending up in the same situation that some firms have, and also to now take stock of their measures, their policies, their procedures, their strategies, to ensure that we can again get ourselves to be ranked for our audit quality and for our auditing standards, how we've been ranked in the last couple of years. So I believe that it's important that all stakeholders work together to try and change the situation. But auditors must learn from the lessons, and we cannot see the issues that we are facing now and not do anything about it. We have to learn from it and move forward.
That was the CEO of the Independent Regulatory Board for